So if your decimal is in your dividend and your divisor, the main thing is, just like we saw in the last slide, you want to move them accordingly. So if you have 7.35 as your dividend and your divisor is, let's say, 1.234. Let's say it's really small. So in order to move it from our divisor, we have to move it 1, 2, 3 spaces. So we have to move it 3 spaces in our dividend. So we move it 1, 2, 3 spaces. If you can see, there's nothing in this space, so we have to put a 0. So then our new problem would be 1,234 and 7,350. So that's equivalent. So I'm not going to solve this one. I'm just going to show you that you move it that number of places. So when we're dividing fractions, so let's say we had 1/4. So you had 1/4 of something, and you wanted to divide it by 2 people, divided by 2. So 1/4, if we divide it by 2, let's just make these equivalent. So now each person gets one of these. So this equals, again, there's 8 pieces. So each of these is 1/8. So 1/4 divided by 2 means you get 1/8. So another way to do this is what we call keep, change, and then flip. So we keep the 1/4, we change the division to a multiplication, and we flip this. So 2 over 1 becomes 1 over 2, and then we multiply. We get 1 times 1 and 4 times 2, which is 8. So that's the concept for dividing fractions. Even if you have a fraction divided by another fraction, it's the same concept, and you do keep, change, and then flip. Volume. So this is a concept that we learned later in the year, but again, we knew area from 4th grade, which was really just length times width. So this is the space that something occupies if it's a 2D shape. So volume is actually for 3D shapes, but they have a third dimension as well, which is height. So volume is really length times width times height, or you could just say area times height, either way, because area is length and width already. So how this works is if you have a building and you're trying to find, again, the space that it occupies, if the width is 5 meters, the height is 22 meters, and the length is 13 meters. Again, we have to multiply all 3 together. You can, again, do them in any order. So we can do our 5 times 13 first. And again, you can use any method to multiply, but I'm just going to use standard algorithm. So 5 times 3 is 15. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6. So now we have 65, and we have to multiply it by 22. We have 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times 6 is 12, plus 1 is 13. I know that this 2 is really a 20, so I put a 0. And 2 times 65 is going to give me the same result that we got the first time. So that's going to give me another 130. So now I add these, and I get 1,430 meters. Remember our units. And an even more recent concept we talked about is coordinate planes. So again, a coordinate plane is something we use a lot for graphing. So again, we talked about all 4 quadrants, but really in 5th grade, your main focus is just the positive quadrant. So this one right here in the upper right-hand corner. So again, we have our left and right, which is called our x-axis. Our up and down is called our y-axis. So coordinates are based off of the x-axis and then the y-axis. So if I have the coordinate 3, 5, that means the x is 3 and the y is 5. So I start at this main point, which is always called 0, 0, which is called the origin. So I start here and I go 1, 2, 3. So this would be 3 across, which is x, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 up, which would be the point 3, 5. So this is at the fifth point on the y-axis and on the third point on the x. We just put the point where they intersect. So this point right here is 3, 5. Another one we can do is, let's say we had 2, 4. Again, 2 means the x and 4 means the y. So we go across 2. So we go 1, 2, and then up 4. So our point is right here. Again, this is at the fourth y and at the second x. So that's how we plot coordinate points.